Today, you'll experience the life challenge of Navy SEAL training at every level. When you arrive in California, your head is shaved clean and gleaming. Before you stand 185 men, silently in formation. Weeks later, 151 of them will ring that bell and leave forever. The instructors don't care who you were before you came. Your past is irrelevant. Your education too. All they want to test is how long it takes for you to break. And the test begins immediately. Wearing combat boots, you run 6 kilometers on soft sand. Every step sinks into the sand. You swim 3 kilometers in the Pacific with fins. The fins will chafe the skin off your heels. Afterward, you and your boat crew hoist a 90-kilogram log over your heads. Here, you learn the first rule. One person's mistake punishes the entire team. If anyone lets go of the log, the whole team has to start over. The strongest person in your class, the one who could do 100 push-ups without breaking a sweat, gave up on the 9th day. He silently walked to the bronze bell, placed his helmet alongside the line of those who had already left, and rang it 3 times. The sound of the bell echoed across the entire beach. Each ring meant the same thing. I can't go on. The instructors placed hot coffee and donuts next to the bell. They made you watch your former comrades sit quietly and eat, while you continued to suffer. Before lunch, 3 more people rang the bell, but the worst was yet to come. Hell Week, 5.5 days. A total of only 4 hours of sleep. Not each night, but total. Hell Week begins Sunday at midnight. Explosions, freezing high-pressure water hoses. For 132 continuous hours, the instructors shout conflicting orders. You cannot stop for a single moment. You ran over 300 kilometers, carrying a rubber boat on your head, until your scalp was raw. In January, you sat in the Pacific Ocean water, shivering so violently that those around you thought you were convulsing. By Wednesday, you started hallucinating. Your teammates would talk to people who weren't there. During Hell Week, 75% of your class quit. But you didn't. It wasn't because you were tougher than those who left. Some were tougher than you, stronger, more agile. They quit because their brains told them to stop, and they obeyed. But you persevered. That was the only difference. Yet there was no celebration. All you'd proven was that you wouldn't quit. And here, that only meant one thing. You just passed the most basic screening, and hadn't yet proven your worth. Phase 2, Infantry. After completing basic training, you then undergo another 26 weeks of specialized qualification training, SEAL tactics, combat diving, land warfare, and demolitions. Finally, they pin the Trident insignia on you. And you realize, everything before was just an audition. Your rank is E4, the lowest combat personnel rank in the SEALs. When you join your first team, the first question comes up. You are nothing. Everyone around you has overseas deployments, combat experience, and scars, so your job is simple. Carry the heaviest gear, clean guns that aren't yours, and quietly learn your role. There are 16 people, led by a Master Chief Petty Officer with over 10 years of combat experience. At first, you thought they exaggerated when they said he could read the terrain, until one night. He deduced there was only one dog in the opposite just camp by listening to its barks. Seconds later, the sound of automatic weapons echoed from there. Then, you embarked on your first 6-month overseas deployment. Night raids, breaking down doors at 2 a.m., long waits on rooftops, listening to gunshots downstairs. Your first firefight lasted 11 minutes. After it ended, your hands trembled for several minutes. The team leader saw it, but said nothing. His hands had trembled the same way back then. But in this squad, no one can be a mere bystander for too long. One day, you'll have to make decisions. Cover the doorway, move an injured teammate, decide whether to be the first to enter a room that might hide enemies. Petty Officer 3rd Class Operator. Petty Officer 2nd Class. After 2 deployments, you start to get into the rhythm. Each 6-month deployment is preceded by 18 months of training. The monotonous repetition at the firing range, thousands of rounds fired each week, until reloading becomes second nature. You'll develop your own specialty, because every SEAL chooses a set of skills that define their role in the team. You become the breacher, the one who opens doors, sometimes with explosives, sometimes with a ram, sometimes with a shotgun loaded with armor-piercing rounds. You have to calculate precisely how much C4 is needed to blast off the hinges without killing everyone on the other side of the door. The answer depends on the door, frame material, and distance. One wrong calculation, and lives are lost. The 3rd deployment changed you. Your squad went to apprehend a high-value target. Intelligence indicated he was alone, but that wasn't the case. Inside the room, there was a woman and 2 children. The target grabbed one of the children, holding him in front of him, while looking for a weapon. Your teammate pulled the trigger. Because there was no other choice, the bullet grazed over the child's head. The child suffered no physical harm. You would agonize over this close call for months, as if this word could hide what you knew couldn't be hidden. From then on, one deployment after another gradually blurred. Different countries, different languages, the same mission. The people around you, due to injuries, promotions, or retirement, constantly rotated. You started to realize this job was changing you in ways you never expected. In the face of violence, you became calmer. But in other areas, increasingly clumsy. You could clear a room in 3 seconds, but couldn't have dinner with your girlfriend without scanning every entrance or remembering every face. She asked if you were okay. You said you were fine because that's the answer training taught you, and also because the truth required explanation and you weren't allowed to reveal it. Those emotions, you weren't even sure if you could face them frankly anymore. Rank 16, Level 4. Senior Operator. Tier 1, you're responsible for the platoon's daily affairs. Now you have to lead those new recruits, who remind you of yourself 6 years ago, and convince they're invincible. You were the same back then, but now you know more. You've attended enough memorial services, carried enough coffins, draped countless flags, and seen what happens when anxiety overrides reason. A team member from your 2nd platoon rounded a corner to fast during a raid. He was hit in the chest by a burst of automatic fire. His plate carrier stopped most of the rounds, but one found the gap under his arm. He bled out in the 4 minutes it took the medic to reach him, while the rest of the team continued the clear. Because the mission doesn't stop for casualties until the building is fully secured. He was only 24. Now you command the everyday operations of the troop. Training schedules, equipment maintenance, readiness reports, all the mundane work people never imagine when they dream of becoming a SEAL. For every hour of combat, 1,000 hours of preparation are required. You become an administrator who occasionally kicks down doors. The shift confused you. You joined to be a warrior. But now you understand the purpose of preparation. Preparation guards your brother's lives. Teams that skip steps pay for it with casualties. Your body is etched with the passage of time. Thousands of jumps have made your knees click. Years of carrying 35 kilograms of gear through mountains and deserts have made your back ache. A close-range breach damaged the hearing in your left ear. You wrap your wrists, eat ibuprofen like candy, tell everyone you're fine, and know everyone else is lying too. E7, Chief Petty Officer, the core of the SEAL team. This is the most crucial rank in a SEAL team. Officers plan the missions, but the chief makes them happen. You directly command 16 men, and your platoon commander is an ensign. For years, you're junior with 10 fewer years of experience. He graduated from Annapolis. Smart and driven, but he's never been in a firefight. Your job is to turn his plans into reality, ensuring no one gets hurt, and you make sure he doesn't feel like you're commanding his team, even though you are. When his tactical plan would leave the flank exposed to crossfire, you subtly adjust it, quietly explaining it to him. A young officer who doesn't listen to his superiors will only end up in the news for the wrong reasons. You embark on a deployment that could change everything. A night raid on a compound. An IED maker is holed up there. In 6 months, his bombs have killed 14 Americans. The intelligence is solid. The plan is meticulous, yet everything still goes wrong. The entrance is barricaded. The first breach attempt fails. The target fires through the wall. One of your men takes a serious leg wound. His femoral artery is grazed. You drag him behind cover, tightening a tourniquet. He screams in pain. You call for the quick reaction force, while bullets tear through the drywall beside you, and continue to direct the assault. The target is killed. Your team member, after 8 months of recovery, survives. The mission is deemed a success. You write the after-action report in the helicopter. The blood on your gloves isn't dry yet. No one will read this report, except those authorized. But this only makes it heavier. Not because of secrecy, but because the world doesn't care. It will never know the price paid that night. Level 6, this isn't a rank. It's the space between ranks. It's the part a real soldier will never show. Your marriage ended during your 5th deployment. She said it was due to irreconcilable differences. The difference was that every time you left home for 6 months, you came back as someone she no longer fully recognized. Because every deployment strips away the mundane parts of you. and replaces them with the sharp edges of a warrior. At 3 a.m., you'd stand in the backyard, scanning the tree line silhouette, looking for threats that don't exist. In the suburbs of Virginia Beach, your children, one 8 years old and one 11, your son no longer asks when you're coming home. He just looks at the calendar on the fridge and silently counts the days. Your daughter drew a family portrait at school, but didn't draw you. It wasn't that she forgot you. It was that her teacher told her to draw the people who live at home, and you don't live in her home. You put those words in your locker and glance at them every time you're not counting money. That pain is something a bullet can never inflict. You've been shot in 7 countries, but never felt this specific kind of pain, knowing you're not in your daughter's world. Your teammates carry the same weight. By some estimates, the SEAL divorce rate is as high as 90%. Those who maintain their marriages are either lucky, or married someone exceptional, or both. The rest have ex-wives, alimony that never ends, weekends that are never long enough, and phone calls from deployments that never quite align with your local time, and always end with a friend crying. This is the cost. It won't appear on any commendation or in any promotion board document. It's a cost that truly breaks a SEAL more than combat does. Bullets can be overcome with training, but loneliness cannot. Pay Grade 8 rank. Senior Chief Petty Officer. Fewer than 2,500 people in the entire Navy hold this rank, and even fewer in the SEAL teams. A committee of senior Master Chiefs reviewed every one of your evaluations, every deployment, every medal, and every single thing from your career. They picked you. Most people don't make it this far. Now you coordinate the entire command's training cycles, deployment schedules, and gear configurations. You're the bridge between the commanders and the platoon leader executing the mission. When the commander wants the truth, instead of a sugar-coated report, he comes to you. You deploy less now. And when you do, you're in the Tactical Operations Center, watching drone feeds, directing the same raids you would have led 5 years ago. Do you feel a strange ache? A profound longing for the simplicity of breaching a door, clearing the next room? But now it's all meetings, logistics, and risk assessments written for people who never heard a bullet fired in anger. You start attending funerals for different reasons, not for war, but for other causes of death. In the last 2 years, for people in your social circle have gone. One of them was a new guy you mentored from his first platoon. You taught him sniper windage calculations, attended his wedding. 3 weeks before he died, he was laughing about the silly things his son did. You believed him because it was easier than asking the hard questions. The questions you dared not ask, for fear of what the answers might demand of you. At the funeral, his mother looks at you, as if you're the one to blame. She has no answers, and you can only be there, because being there is what a Master Chief does. You've been doing this for 20 years now, and the weight of funerals grows heavier, instead of lighter. And the ones not from combat are the hardest for you to come to terms with. You are a Master Gunnery Sergeant, E9. You are a senior enlisted leader. This is the highest enlisted rank in the U.S. Marine Corps. You command thousands of combat personnel across multiple units and volunteers. You are the senior enlisted advisor to a Marine Corps Major General. You are the voice of all enlisted personnel within the entire command. You sit in meetings at the Pentagon, watching those who have never worn body armor make decisions. You testify before oversight committees, cautious and sincere, yet strategically reserved. That's the rule of the game at this level. You sign condolence letters, review post-action reports, and draw the line between acceptable risk and recklessness. You sit in living rooms with grieving families, looking at photos of comrades you sent into harm's way, where the probability of death was real. Sometimes, a mother will ask if her son suffered. You say no. You don't always know if the answer is true. Your body is a catalog of injuries. 2 blown-out knees, a lumbar fusion, and constant tinnitus that makes you forget the quiet. On your 8th deployment, a fast-dropping mishap resulted in a titanium-repaired shoulder. You've served 25 years. You've been married twice. The first ended because of the job. The second endures because she's a nurse. She understands that broken people don't need you to be whole. Every night when nightmares come, she sits with you. She doesn't ask what you dreamt about, just brews coffee and sits beside you until your breathing calms. She keeps you from becoming a reason for those funerals, you know, and you occasionally say it, but not often enough. E29, tried and qualified, you are temporarily retired. The ceremony was small, held at the nearby nearby Chief, a small unit of the Naval Special Operations Command, with 50 people present. No politicians, generals, or public officials. Only combat personnel and military leaders. Those who walked through the same door as you and came out the other side. The commander read out the commendation order, using precise yet emotionless technical language, describing your career. 11 deployments, 9 combat rotations, rescuing injured comrades, receiving medals for valor, returning fire with a secondary weapon under 400 meters of enemy fire, dragging comrades to the extraction point, additional commendations. You yourself were also wounded. Didn't you notice? Not until the adrenaline wore off, and the doctor pointed it out. Did you realize blood was flowing down your arm? They framed your trident insignia, service insignia, and arm patches, condensing your life into objects behind glass. You move into a house by the sea, because your entire adult life has been tied to it. Without the ocean's depths, you don't know how to live. You accept a contractor job, because they need your clearance and connections. The pay is 3 times the military salary, and the work is suitable enough, but it's completely different. Nothing will ever be the same. Your body still wakes you up at 5 a.m. 28 years of muscle memory doesn't understand retirement. Now you run slower with knee braces. Your headphones turned up high to drown out the never-ending tinnitus. You stay in touch with the community, knowing younger operators who call you about deployments, the darkness that creeps into peaceful married life. You tell them the trident is the most important thing they will ever earn. It's also the most dangerous thing they'll carry, because if you let it, it will become your entire identity. Some will listen, most will just nod, then back with their squad, because they're 26, convinced they're invincible. You were like that once. Nevertheless, you'll say these words again. The poem, the cycle, somewhere in Coronado. Right now, a new class of recruits is gathering on the beach. 180 candidates stand on the sand, shivering in the pre-dawn darkness. They're looking at that bell they swore they'd never ring, the brass bell. They've watched the movies, read the books, dreaming of the trident. They have no idea of the cost. They don't know about deployments, the 2 a.m. door kicks, the split-second decisions that would replay in their dreams for decades. They didn't know about the marriages that wouldn't last, the 4th deployment, or the children drawing family portraits without a parent. They didn't know about burying friends who couldn't make it through the silence afterwards. They didn't know about the VA waiting rooms, the titanium joints, the never-ending tinnitus, or the nights spent patrolling around their searching for dangers that weren't there. They didn't know that the trident they so desperately would become the heaviest thing they'd ever carry. Heavier than a plate carrier, heavier than a rucksack, heavier than a fallen teammate carried to a bird under fire. They only knew they wouldn't quit. 180 hearts beating, 180 souls. Each convinced they were different, convinced they would succeed. Most of them wouldn't. In the coming weeks, the bell would be rung thousands of times. The rings would grow thinner and thinner. The beach will slowly empty. 34 people will remain. 28. Those who refuse to ring that bell will earn the trident. They will become the most elite warriors on Earth, and strangers in the eyes of their loved ones. Ghosts in their own lives, carrying classified memories. Their bodies will begin to wear out, decades before their time.